It is December the 22nd, 2016. I'm Dana, your host, nuclearproctologist.org. And you can find these videos and Fukushima presentations throughout the entire internet. Thank goodness for some things, if not everything. And today, we're just a few days away from Christmas. And I know it's a difficult time for people, for some people anyway, certainly. And we have been streaming as much as we can for over 3 years. And we tried to go 5 days a week. And for the first year, we done pretty good. And then we spent 260 days on the ocean, on the Pacific Ocean, on expeditions, Fukushima expeditions. And you can find all of that information at the nuclearproctologist.org. What we done was we went up and inspected the coastline in British Columbia, Canada. And of course, 15,000 miles, 260 days. And no matter where we went, the species on the left were missing. And so we have gone to war against the nuclear industry because they have forced our hand. It is not us who wants to do this, but we have to do it. The West Coast sardine crash, and herring and anchovies and krill and all the other species have crashed dramatically, particularly in the last 3 years since Fukushima. And you had sea stars were annihilated. We showed you the pictures. They're missing from the coastline except for a couple of species. And we done species, insect, bird counts. And what we show is an extinction event, same as these people. We went up and documented the whole coastline, so we went a little different. And you had scientists saying that a number 4 collapses is bye-bye to the North Coast, evacuated. It collapsed, it's gone. The die-offs are well recorded. It's not me, just me. And we know about how 80 killer whales in Puget Sound will all disappear in the next 6 months or so. They'll all die pretty well close within a few months of each other. And they're going to die because right now they're all starved to death. They're emaciated. There's food deer, not a lot, but there's food deer. They're at the top of the food chain. They can eat whales, humpback whales, and they do. They can eat sharks, and they do. You can look this up. They can eat halibut. They can eat rockfish. They can eat octopus. They can eat the seals and sea lions that are left. So what? But why are they emaciated? It done something to them, and they can't eat anymore. They're at the later stages. They're completely emaciated, all of them, the killer whales. And they're going to disappear in the next 5 and 6 months. All the whales that have died in the last couple of years have all been emaciated. The airborne plume caused a significant disposition. And the disposition is the fallout from the radioactive plumes. Just let me burn through some of these models before we hit all these headlines. That's Norwegian Institute for Air Research. After Japan, an uninterrupted line across the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is the real map and you can see North America is covered. But the plume that they're using is only based up on a couple of days' releases. But even if that was true, if that's all there was, North America was still covered. But the reality was they didn't include all the material, did they? And then they come out and hid that and pretended that it looked like this when this was just a tide tsunami map. But all of them refused to say, hey, this is the real ones. There's lots of real ones out there. They all come out and mocked anybody who thought that could be real. But they never bothered saying.
Computer simulation shows how radioactivity is spread around the world from the disabled Fukushima Daiichi plant. The simulation was created by a group of researchers at the University of Tokyo and Kyushu University and released on Wednesday. The simulation is based on the scenario in which contaminated air was vented from the disabled number 2 reactor building on March 14th, 3 days after the massive earthquake and tsunami. Computer images showed the radioactive material was lifted 5,000 meters into the air. It was then carried by westerly winds and spread over the Pacific Ocean. The images indicate that on the 4th day after being vented, the substances reached the west coast of the United States, and on the 7th day, they approached Iceland after crossing the Atlantic.
Right. And so the jet streams models, they're real. Canada put out their models, sharp features, and they took samples along Vancouver Island every 15 minutes by plane at low altitude, and they showed a plume in Update Canada. So when I'm showing you these headlines, when we're talking about the real deal, but we're not talking about the real numbers. And those lacking wisdoms expected the plume to disperse, but it didn't, because that's not how it works. And we know that plutonium from Fukushima and Pacific fish, just a single isotope in an atom, just a single atom with a man-made isotope is catastrophic for whoever or whatever ingests it. Here where they claim Canada and Mexico avoided much of the contamination. So an absolute betrayal when you actually look at the studies done in all kinds of countries, and we've showed these many times. But media, for some reason, there's lots of truth out there, but there's lots of misrepresentation. Infant mortality increased significance. Why did the Canadian government fail to alert the public when we paid them to do that? We gave them money, authority, the equipment. But yet they refused. When the job finally was dear to be done, they put down and turned off their equipment. And the 131, now, that was just a tracer. That meant all the other radioactive isotopes are dear. It was worse than the Canadian officials ever let it on. And the politicians were shocked, and others were accused of being fear-mongering for telling the truth, because the nuclear industry is completely out of control for 70 years. The plume covered North America. And it's Vancouver was hit hard. Up to 1 billion becquerels just off the coastline. People lie about it constantly. 40 million in a bed off Southern California. Do you think it's just a single bed? It's the entire coast. And there's so much evidence linking nuclear plants to ill health. It's unbelievable how much. Child leukemia doubles near French nuclear plants. 90% higher incidence in another study. 23% higher in another study. And we see the plume come right through the country. Sharp increase in deaths from exposure, because it causes heart attacks and autoimmune deficiencies that show up in mass. probably the right music, but we're going to change it. I'll turn it down a notch. Because it goes right into your muscles like cesium, and it attacks the heart. It's pulsing in your heart. Your heart's electrical device in many children living near nuclear plants have double leukemia. We see puffins starving to death. They found 250. Second paragraph. Normally they find 10 in a decade. They found 250, and they declared it a mass mortality event, meaning that about half the animals have died, and there could be up to 6 million total, or 8 million, and half of them are died, is what they're saying, because they found 250. And look at the third paragraph. The cause is no great mystery. That they starved to death. How is that not a great mystery? How did that become normal? Because they're trying to normalize it. Urchins next. Yeah, they're gone. We done the whole coastline. And this was enormously expensive. And that was just one part of the journey documenting this coastline. I'm not Greenpeace. I'm not some big non-profit organization. I'm Dana. I don't hide from anybody. And I do the work. And I work very hard just to do these streams now. But I need to continue to be able to do the things I'm doing. And I need coverage. I need a movement to push back with. We need people to wake up and understand the significance. And I do this by raising donations, which is insane. It's insane that we've got this far. It's unbelievable, unimaginable that we pulled off what we pulled off, and we got the documentation. It's up at the nuclear proctologist, sitting there waiting for you. All those arrows, there's thousands of pictures for each arrow with GPSs. It's all right there. We should have our lights today. We raised money for it. And the green screen, a new green screen, a proper one, too. But it takes so long to get anything. And we've been at this 3 years, so we are well organized. But I need support. I need to raise tens of thousands. I need to be able to get out there and do lectures. We need to get the DVD out there, but we need some kind of movement to drive it out there. There needs to be that awakening for that to show up properly and do the job right. Otherwise, it gets lost down the black hole of the internet. Because I produce a documentary a day, literally, right here. And I work all day, each day, nonstop, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can donate. Links are below the videos. You can donate at the nuclearproctologist.org with your credit cards or PayPal. Completely safe. We've been using it over 3 years. No issues. No hang-ups. And I just haven't pushed. I don't like doing that. I just wish everybody would, each month give me $2, and you had 1,000 people doing that. Got any idea what I can do with money when it comes in? I still got to buy a camera. The camera's going to be $1,800. The lens is at least $600 on eBay. The wires are going to be $600 for cables. You got an SDI to HDMI. That's $150 a pop. The stand, proper stands for these things, you're going to want to spend to have that equipment to do it right. I need drones. At least one. That's $3,000. I need a couple of small submersibles for this spring. We need to come up with, say, $10,000 to run a live stream, to go on an expedition and live stream the coast when the tides get low again, coming up in the spring. And we do everything, in tiny increments. And we are in an extinction event. It's an extinction event. The documentation is brutal. We've done that whole coastline. It's all up at my site. And all these wonderful species to the left don't exist anymore. Just a couple of algae, if you're lucky. But they're lethargic. The animals are literally, there's 500,000 birds starved along the coastline. These are all from the same place before and after. And I don't have no option but to push. I don't have no option but to ask. I don't see, what do I do? Do I stop? Do I give it up? Do I stop the research? Do I walk away from the research? Just to keep that site up with the material on it is $400 a year. And that's coming up again in a couple of months. But to compete against the lawyers, against the nuclear industry, against the propaganda machine, against 337 whales dying, thousands. You got 200 in another spot since Fukushima. You got sea lions starving to death going into restaurants, showing up baby seals. It's an extinction event. We're seeing mass die-offs. They all starve to death. They're all emaciated. That means they starve to death. Over and over now, we're seeing these mass die-offs. We're seeing polar bears going from healthy to tiny, emaciated animals. We've never seen that. We see 500,000 birds dying at the one time, all starving to death. In different places, we're seeing this animal swam 700 miles. Scientists followed it. It didn't eat. It starved to death. It had the deepest dive. It had the longest underwater dive. And ultimately, after a few weeks after following it, it died. It died, disappeared forever. The sea urchin die-offs were very quick. The die-offs of birds all over Alaska beaches, we've never seen it. They all starved to death. We have never seen this before. Sorry, hang on. That should have been down low, Mike. Let's go over here. Deformed animals. It just, no matter how you look at it, they didn't die as smoking. In 3 weeks, 5 dead whales beached along California coast. The odds of finding even one. But see, the birds died because when they came ashore, they didn't have that diversity, right? Instead of having all that food over far to the left, they had just nothing on the beach, right? Instead of this wonderful colors where the birds can come in and eat anywhere, there was nothing there, a couple of algae. There's normally like over 6,000 invertebrates without the backbones and 700 algae. And so there's normally 5,600 highly visible species like the left. And so normally they can come ashore and stick their head on their water, or just in the low, if it's low tide, they can go up into the low tide zone, pictures to your left, and they eat away. But they starve to death because it's all missing. Even, they couldn't find the herring anchovies, the sardines, the squid, the krill, the normal feeder fish. They're gone. Or they're down to tiny percentages, not enough to sustain them because they starved to death. And when they come ashore looking for food, the insects were gone, and then the tidal zones were naked. And we are the only people that went out and organized and done all of the coastline for 260 days. And we have to raise money to keep on top of everything to get out there and do more research. We haven't been able to do research because I won't raise the money anymore. I don't want to. I needed the equipment, and I just can't stand it anymore. I expected enough people on the planet to wake up, but the industry came full steam on me. They delete subscriptions all the time. I'm stuck in a perpetual spot with my subscribers where no matter what I gain, I'll go back 10, 15 the next day. And nobody complains. Nobody says nothing. 20,000 subscribers. You're lucky to get 400 or 500 views, but you keep getting new subscribers each day. But boy, next day you're going to lose them. But nobody says why. Nobody complains because I'm completely honest. There's no way that 10 or 15 people are going to unsubscribe every day and not say something, not be vocal. And anybody that did is an idiot. Because all we do is tell the truth. We don't hide from anybody. Everybody knows who I am. Everybody knows how hard I worked. That knows anything about me. And knows how long I've been at this, 10 years. And knows that I don't play games and that it's real, what we talk about, and what we're doing, and why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. Is all because of you. I couldn't exist in no capacity without everybody who came along and those who stuck, helping and contributing. But it's dismal that I can't raise the basics each month. It's dismal, really, when history looks back and see how big the struggle was for us and how the ones that could did, and that did, but many didn't. Many couldn't find it in their heart to do it. Many couldn't see that far ahead to say, you know, if we make this guy powerful enough, he automatically, by default, ends up out there with the information, and people automatically get smarter. Somehow that eludes the big people out there that had that opportunity and still have it. And in the future, they'll donate, but they'll regret that during the time of greatest need, the time of most difficulties, the time when I was assaulted and under siege year after year, when I don't waver, when I won't back down, when I don't give an inch, because I'm stuck with this information, gathering it all day, every day, sorting through it, crying my eyes out because I read the lawyers' stories. I get emotional, but I can't come out and scream at it. Everybody got to pick my fights. But 20 times a day, I sit here and just bang my head because there's another article where somebody talked about bananas and potato chips. For 70 years, the same story. Everybody I went there hoping they're going to tell the truth has to lie. It's heartbreaking. And I know what I can do. I know why I'm on this planet. I know why I was sent here. And I can't accomplish what I was sent here to do. It's frightening. Because I don't lie. I don't manipulate. I don't deceive. There's nothing to be gained by it. The truth is much more darker than you can handle. More darker than I can handle, but I do. I handle it and I disperse it to make sure that this world can't look and say that there wasn't people fighting for it. So the kids don't grow up thinking that people didn't care, that they had someone out there that was willing to make a last stand for everything on the planet. That is what we are doing. We are the last stands. We are Earth's last stand. Your wealth is no good to you in a few years. Your pensions will never see fruition. Your world is going to fall apart dramatically over the next couple of years. It already has. You just can't put your finger on it, can you? The crazies are in the final stages of destroying everything. We've lost 4 million species in the Pacific Ocean. And the academics refuse to say, hey, maybe it's Fukushima. Maybe it's radiation that's causing some of the issues, or in reality, all the issues. When you take a piece out of the link out of the chain, it's not a chain no more, and everything falls apart after. The whole basis is the chain is full of links, and that the weakest link will break that chain, which was the phytoplankton, the basis of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestering chain. A meltdown is forever. A nuclear release is forever. An extinction event is forever and ever. And ever happens so fast to us. We have been destroyed in less than 6 years. Japan has destroyed their own, the nuclear industry, of course, because of the nuclear industry. Everything the nuclear has touched, it has destroyed. Every animal in every study for 70 years, every animal, not just Gilnetty, even though he really does show you 144 dogs. And then within 3 years, they're dying of lung tumors, skeleton, liver, bone tumors, 93 dogs, lung and 46 dog tumors, liver tumors in 20 dogs. And these are comparable to human studies, last two sentences. These findings in dogs suggest similar dose-related biological effects could be expected in humans accidentally exposed. And curium is the biggest byproduct, but we know that americium, plutonium in monkeys and baboons is the same thing as the dogs. And americium and uranium in mice show definitively that there was serious consequences. They knew this for 70 years. And younger you are, the more you're affected. We know from all these different studies, but they want to tell you about a banana. And a potato chip for some reason. To confuse you is the reason. There's so many studies showing how maniacal and twisted and demented the industry truly is, and how heartless and soulless and spineless our media, our checks and balances actually are. We know, though, reliably, definitively, how the radiation inundated our country. There is no questions in the validity of that. We know the jet streams are real. We know the effects are dramatic and that they start showing up 5, 10, 15 years in mass. But we've already seen that mass, have we not? We know the plumes never stop coming out of Japan. It continues to come out today. The models are only for a small dispersal over a short period of time. But even that short period of time showed the entire Pacific was rained out. It was radiation all the way to the ocean floor. We see the entire North America, not just the coastline, completely radiated. The entire continent, the entire Atlantic. And we know it didn't stop coming out. We know the models are only based upon a couple of days' releases. They're not based upon the actual inventories. They're not based upon the actual amounts. Model after model, country after country, will speed it up. Shows that within just less than a week, everything was radiated. You can't see it. You can't smell it. You can't taste it. You can't hear it. You can't feel it. But it's there and it's deadly. In the dog studies I just showed you, these are the reactors, reactor 3. It's gone. That's 6 reactor cores, 5 upstairs and 1 downstairs running. They're gone. That's a comparison picture, yeah? That's the end of it. We have to fight back. We have to find a way. And I have to lead that. And I have to ask for help. Because I am by myself. Everything I do is by myself. And I have to raise the money to do it. And I've been censored and demonized and vilified in the media, accused of everything but the fact that I'm the only person, period, on this planet, period, to have these regular shows, to bring you the information, the visual information, the documentation, the studies, the models, the headlines, the actual research. And I can't sit here in perpetual solitude anymore. I have to make this stand. I have to fight back. I gotta raise the money to bring in a new wave of activism, a new wave of reality, a new media. I can't stay small and accomplish anything of substance. That's why we work so hard for so long. It's time for people to help me. It's time for people to support me, to go to bat. The time is here. Just like the end of the show is here. Just like I'm here always. My apologies for asking. My apologies for hoping. I apologize for dreaming. Apologize for wishing that I could do something more. Because I pray every night when I go to sleep that I can have the courage to get up tomorrow morning and show up here. And be that example. Be that person. Be somebody that was put here to do this job. Somebody that has that history, who has that compassion and that understanding and that knowledge that won't go away. And that information that you need to see and they need to see. We all have to sacrifice. We all have already sacrificed. It's time for other people to take that load. It's time for the world to rejoice that we have a way forward, that we have people out there willing to go to bat, that we have people that have went to bat and have sacrificed everything so that you can have your opportunity, your friends, your family, your loved ones, no matter what race or color or religion or ideology you covet or hold dear, can be yours to enjoy, because misery is on the way and the solution is right here, begging. Hugs for everybody.